Hi, this is John Ondo from Marketing Media and Cupcakes. And before we get into today's episode, I just want to say thank you so much for listening. We're back after being gone for over 4.5 years. And I hope you get a chance to listen to episode 77, where we explain why we were gone for so long and that we're back for at least 3 more episodes. Angel and I are big supporters of entrepreneurship, and we love small businesses and faith-based businesses. And we just want to encourage you through our podcast each week. What's going to determine if we continue with more episodes will be the response. Subscribe to us on your platform. Send us an email at john@ondomedia.com. That would help us know you're listening and you want more episodes. So thank you so much, and let's get into today's episode. So if you're not involved in LinkedIn, I'm talking like my son who talks about Canadians.
This is the small business podcast that is sweeter than all the rest. Marketing, media, and cupcakes.
Welcome to episode 10. Episode 10, hooray! People said we would never make it to episode 10, and here we are, episode 10 of Marketing, Media, and Cupcakes.
Ding, 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 ding.
I am John Ondo, and I'm joined, of course, by my lovely wife, Angel.
Hi there.
And, you know, what you remind me of when you do that is the, what was it, Yoki or whatever her name was on Deadpool 2.
It was Yokio?
Something like
Yukio?
that. Hi, Wade!
Yeah, hi, Wade.
You said what? Now, one thing you have to understand, besides the fact that Angel has a small business, she makes cupcakes, and she has a regular full-time job in customer service, and I have my own business for media production, is that we're also, when we don't have work going on and doing podcasts and such, we are typically watching Netflix and watching comedians like John Mulvaney and Ryan Hamilton.
Kathleen Madigan.
And we get to see Kathleen Madigan in September here. She's coming to town, and we are so excited to see So we're huge. And, of course, Deadpool and Deadpool 2, which it's R-rated. Don't go see it if you're under 18. But
it's fabulous. See it anyway.
It's hard not to just say that's just really funny.
It's just good stuff.
Maybe someday when we hit, like, episode, 10,000, maybe...
Ryan Hamilton.
Not Ryan Hamilton.
Wrong one.
Yeah, the other guy. Ryan Reynolds.
Reynolds! There we go.
Ryan Reynolds.
Dear God.
It's been a long week for us. So today we have on episode 10 a very special guest coming to us from the East Coast, New York, New Jersey, David Tash, who is an entrepreneur. He is a host of a podcast, and he's got a great story because he now works with recruiting folks with LinkedIn. But before that, he began, he was working in bars and doing bouncing and that kind of stuff. Bouncing, I say that as security. And he started his own business, and he took that business and made it skyrocket. And so we want to welcome today to Marketing Media and Cupcakes from the big NYC, David Tash. How you doing, David?
I'm doing fantastic. Thank you for having me on.
Well, I'll let you explain. Tell me what you do now with LinkedIn.
Awesome. Yeah. So we work with recruiters, and we help them get more client leads and candidate leads using LinkedIn. We have an omnipresent strategy, and LinkedIn is the anchor to it, making sure that we connect with the right decision makers, building an audience, putting a content ecosystem around it, and then using something called the pixel to retarget that audience when they go to other social media channels like LinkedIn and Twitter, as you mentioned.
Cool.
So Facebook and Twitter.
I want to unravel that a little in a few minutes, but let's kind of get your story now. I actually was looking at your LinkedIn, and we talked a little bit before the interview. But did I get this right? Were you an arena football player?
For a short time, yeah.
What was that like?
It was actually pretty cool. Right after college, I played football in college, and aspirations for the NFL, didn't quite make it, but I had opportunity to play arena ball. And they put you up in a hotel, they pay for everything, and it's the first time I got paid to play the game that I love. For 2 years, I just kind of traveled around the country playing arena ball, and it was a blast.
We had in Columbus, where we're at. We just got we had a team, and we got a team back now. But all I know about arena football is just people slamming into barricades. I mean, is that all there is to arena football? I mean, that looks like it's worse than hockey.
It's high paced, it's high energy, and it's really a fanfare because you really get to interact with the players. You get to really have a good time. NFL, of course, is majestic. It's beautiful. But on the arena level, it's almost like like the players there are playing for fun. They're not
it's
making
street ball
money. Yeah. Yeah, and it's a lot of interaction with the fans.
Well, tell me, David, you went from that to starting your own business with your executive limousine business. Tell me a little bit about how that started and kind of the story of how you got to where you are today, because you're involved in a lot now.
Really, just truly blessed. I started up that company just because, like, just being aware. I was working at a nightclub in Manhattan, and I saw that a lot of the high-end clients were coming in with, these Mercedes S-classes and these Escalades. So I said to myself, man, I can get an Escalade. I can do this. And I started up my first company. I kind of got hit with the reality of, like, oh man, I kind of have a business. And I remember,
it was just you at the beginning, or were you and a buddy doing this, or?
It was just me, and I had a pretty good roster of, like, guys in nightlife, like security guys that I worked with, but it was a totally different animal when I tried to get those guys to come in and do the limousine thing. It didn't work at all. It was it was a mess. So what I did was, one thing I did was really smart, was I bought 2 vehicles instead of 1, because I said to myself, I don't want to fall into the traps of just getting comfortable and just kind of being like a solopreneur type thing.
Gotcha.
So it was smart looking back, but it was very tough to pay for, like, 2 car notes, 2 insurances. I took on a lot of expenses, but eventually it did work out. I was able to find someone to kind of do it with me. And then from there, we kind of bought more vehicles and expanded.
That's cool. So the first thing that came to mind, this was, like, I believe you told me, like 2010, 2011 when you started the business. Mm-hmm. And that was pre-Uber, pre-Lyft. What happened when that started really raising its head in the New York area? Because I know that changed everything there.
So it's funny. When Uber first came out, they didn't have Uber X. It was just Uber Black. And I remember, like, people telling me, like, oh, this company's going to pay you. They were paying guys, like single drivers, like $10,000 a month just to be available to take their clients. So it was like the gold rush if you were a, small business owner, or like you had like a 1-car thing going with Uber. Like, you get paid a lot of money at that time. And I kind of saw the writing on the wall. I'm like, oh man, this is going to be big. They're going to take over. So I said, like, what's a segment of the market that Uber isn't going to touch? And at that time, event transportation was getting really big. I knew a guy that was really big in the event transportation space. So I kind of, like, started working with him, and then we ended up partnering up. And it was definitely a very strategic and smart move, because 2-3 years later, Uber took over everything.
So David, how did you get the marketing out for that? How did you get that service or that word out that you had these, super awesome ways to get people from point A to point B?
Well, at first it was word of mouth, and I used my connections from nightlife. And I remember the first piece of marketing I did, I didn't even realize it was marketing, was I had, like, this text message app where I would just send a mass text out, and I would get a couple replies like, okay, got it, stop bothering me. But then I would get a couple people like, hey, yeah, actually, like, thanks for reminding me. And then it'll turn into like a $2,000 gig or something like that.
What was it? Were these just people you knew, or people you had in your phone that you were texting, or?
Yeah, these were people I had in my phone. But then I'm on the road, I'm driving, I'm working. So what I would do is I would start to listen to audiobooks on marketing.
Nice.
So whenever I had downtime, which you have a lot of, I just started listening to these books, and I learned about, like, email marketing, like collecting the emails of my clients. And then I learned about affiliate marketing, and that actually exploded my company at the time, working with affiliates, because I didn't realize that, hey, if I'm taking client X to the airport, this client is used to using car service. When he gets to his destination or her destination, they're most likely going to need another car to take them to, the new city that they're in.
Exactly.
So that opened up the business where I started getting a piece of that business. But then the company that I made a affiliate with, I made a connection with, they started referring their clients to me. And literally it took, I think my first year we did around like close to $200,000 of business. The very
Wow.
next year, we did about 970,000.
One of the things I know that I can't help, but it's like networking is such an important tool. And if you can't think in terms of, get outside your wall and think, not be like, I'm protecting my business, but saying, how can I open my business up and help other businesses? It seems like that helps tenfold your business when you reach out to other businesses and say, hey, how can my business help your business?
Absolutely. I mean, never be shy, never be ashamed to like ask for help or ask questions. I mean, I feel like I would have not have gotten to where I am today and where I'm going to be without the help of others. Like right now I have two mentors and I have a mentee. And this is something my mentor told me is always keep two mentors and try to mentor two people yourself, because you're going to reiterate the information that you're learning from your mentor to your mentee. Of course, like back then, 2011, 2012, I didn't know that, but I'm here just listening to audiobooks and trying to make things happen.
Well, I mean, and I'm the same way. I'm one of the few filmmakers who hates reading. People, I get together with other filmmakers. Hey, have you read this book? And I'm like, no, I listen to Audible. I have no attention span to sit and read a book. But I love Audible and I love podcasts. They've been great. Well, David, tell me about you. You kind of beat the Lyft Uber threat, and the business gets successful. But you actually ended up kind of working yourself, at least out of the hands-on job, it sounded like a little bit.
Yeah. So again, didn't beat Uber, survived Uber, right?
Okay.
Definitely didn't beat them. But we found a segment of the market that they don't touch, or they're not like, they're not really equipped to handle. And we made that our priority. And it's actually one of the biggest revenue streams for our business. So because of that, and it requires like a lot of logistics and a lot of planning. So because of that, we making that our focus. I was able to like bring in people with my partner that specialize in that area, and it was more so my partner. Like I would be doing something, I would develop a system for this part of the business. My partner will let's find someone to run this side. So we did that like 2 or 3 times. And then we did it like so well that we looked at each other and was like, oh man, there's really not that much left for us to do.
That sounds tragic.
And he's about 10 years older than I am. So for him, it was like, okay, well, I'm gonna work really hard when I need to work hard. But this free time, I'm gonna spend it with my family and my kids. For me at the time, I think I was like 29.
Mm-hmm.
So it was like, well, what am I gonna do?
Right.
So I'm like, you put so much time and energy. I'm used to working 80, 90 hours a week in the business because I love it and that's what I did. So now it's like, let me make some phone calls and try to hang out with friends that I haven't, spoken to in a while. Like, hey, let's go party. And they're like, no, we have life now. Life hit us now,
Yeah. Well, and somewhere along the line, was this when you began to understand the power of LinkedIn when you were doing the executive ride business there?
Yeah. So it's funny because we actually made $250,000 off of a LinkedIn post.
Wow.
Back then.
What was there a secret, or did you was it a lucky day, or how did it work?
We actually I told a story about one event that we were doing, and I just kind of detailed the story of how like just kind of planning ahead really saved our butts, because like if we didn't, the event would have been a big failure. And the right person saw that and then private messaged me and told me that they had an event coming up in a couple of months. Can they utilize our services? And, you're like, oh, sure. You didn't really think, I didn't think anything would come of it. And then turns out it was like one of the biggest like jewelry brands in America, in the world, actually, this person was representing. And it turned out to be a $250,000 event for us.
Wow. You just never know sometimes. The thing with LinkedIn that I know, and like I say, I love LinkedIn, but I know I have for a long time treated it like the responsible Facebook. You post things on it. Here's what I'm doing. update the resume. If I get an award, I make sure it's on there and do the businessy kind of stuff. It's just, to me, I think most people think of it as an adult social media outlet.
Yeah.
But I'm learning more and more. It's expensive, but there's a real, I don't want to use the word funnel since we're using it all the time on social media, but there is a real way to capture business through LinkedIn. So can you explain that a little bit to us, especially with the small business mindset that, well, you have it and Angel and I have it with our small businesses?
First, you don't have to go the paid route with LinkedIn for it to be effective. LinkedIn has a huge organic play right now. If you look at like stats show us that out of all, like most of the content on LinkedIn comes from only about 5% of the actual registered members. So what that means is that LinkedIn is going to push out whatever content you're putting to your audience, to your connections, and that's free advertising, that's free publicity. And like you mentioned this, that a lot of people, when they think of LinkedIn, they think of it as the mature Facebook. Well, LinkedIn is going through huge strides and efforts to become more social. Yes, it is business. Yes, it is professional, but that doesn't mean you can't show your personal side. That doesn't mean you can't talk about things that's going on in your life and share. That's what they want, because that type of content, the storytelling, that's what people find as to be engaging. And we all know in business, people don't buy products, they buy people, right? They buy who they trust, who they feel comfortable with. So the more personable, the more you share, the more you tell, the more you educate on LinkedIn, like it's like paying it forward. It's going to come back to you tenfold, 20-fold. I mean, one post I did brought in $250,000 of business, and that was like unexpected. We didn't plan for it. And after that, we said, hey, there's something here. We need to be invested into learning this thing and figuring it out.
So, David, I have this small gig I do on the side, this cupcake business that I have a full-time job, and I do this kind of, as a thing in the last year or so, made it official, if you will. And I guess
Congratulations.
Well, thank you. And it's all from John's politeful prodding, if you will. That's a good way to put it. You can do this and this can be real and all that fun stuff. But how could something like mine, because, I do, again, it's on the side, how could LinkedIn actually help me make it be at one point whenever I'm ready to make it?
How can she get a $250,000 gig with cupcakes? That's what I want to know.
That's what he wants to know. So
awesome. So it sounds like that's more of like a business to consumer type of product.
Yes.
But I mean, offices, like office parties, I'm sure they like cupcakes at the office parties. Think about like your top, like your dream 10 clients, event planners, wedding planners, like wherever someone would buy mass amounts of cupcakes.
Sure.
Right. Send them out. Like, what about salespeople that want to impress their prospects, and maybe they'll send them a cupcake before the sales call? So, Facebook is fantastic. Love Facebook. Made a lot of money with Facebook. Can't complain. Thanks, Zuckerberg. But right now, they really limit, like whenever you make a post on Facebook, they really limit who sees it. You're reaching less than 3% of your audience, sometimes less than 1%. LinkedIn is the exact opposite. We'll do if we're connected with 1,000 people, we'll do a post. Sometimes we'll see 1,900 people saw the post. They're not only showing your audience, they're like, anyone wants to see this, a party on LinkedIn. So talk about all the useful things that salespeople, business people can do, with your cupcakes, tied into business, and identify who those companies around you are that, they use a lot of like cupcakes in their celebrations or office parties, and then to speak to them, reach out to them, and connect with, the planners, the office managers, whoever it is, the decision makers in those companies, and let them see your content. And, maybe give them like, hey, listen, we have a special going on where, you buy 100 cupcakes, you get 10 free or something like that. I
am on LinkedIn as my quote unquote, full-time professional. I list that's where I work, and almost everybody that I'm connected with is people who I work with. So there's a few extraneous people, but it's more they used to work there and now they don't anymore. So I guess that's why I was just curious as to how, if I wanted to get involved in doing exactly what you said, start seeking out, event planners and people of those, can I do that with my current page, or would you recommend setting up a separate page?
I would recommend setting up a company a second company page. But the juice is going to be in your personal profile.
Okay.
So it's almost like you would share the content on your company page.
Okay.
But then you would reshare it as on your personal page, and you could even, I believe you can even set it up where, like, hey, show this to my first 3 connections. I think you can even make little pods of your connections. So
okay.
That way it's the right type of people.
Okay.
That's the one thing that's impressive about LinkedIn is, and I've bought with our marketing media and cupcakes. We are only on Facebook and Instagram. I decided not to do Twitter. I haven't built anything for LinkedIn yet, but we have bought ads on Instagram. I've only really focused, and I'll be honest, to sound like Glenn Ross, the leads are crap. I get 5 or 6, and I look at each profile. And I would recommend, if you are buying ads on Instagram, wherever you're at, look at the lead. You think, oh, I got 5 followers, and you look at the followers, they have 0 posts and 5 friends. I don't know where they're coming from. That's where a lot of these ads are coming out of.
Robots.
Yeah, yeah. So it's where LinkedIn, you can get specific to education, businesses, location. It's really, and Microsoft owns LinkedIn, and it's they've done a good job on it. It's like when I cruise LinkedIn, I feel like I'm in a nice Mercedes here that's going to get me to where I want to go. So let me and by the way, we're talking with David Tash, who's host of the Executive Recruiter Network podcast. He's an entrepreneur, he's a business owner, he's an arena football player, and probably not anymore. He's a father, and and his wife's involved with his businesses as well. So we're just enjoying the chat with him. And one of the questions I went ahead in the minutes we have left, since we're kind of a small business podcast, one of the birth pains of having a small business is you get to the point where and you mentioned it earlier, you're putting methods in place to do a better business, and you get to that point, that top of that hill where you're like, I could either keep it where it's at, which means I'm going to be maxed out on what I potentially could make, or I could start hiring people. And I know in the case of like web designers and graphic producers I work with, I don't care where you're at anymore. I can hire somebody to do animation in India to do work for me in other places. So I know this is one of your skill sets you're good at. Tell us a little bit about when we're a small business and having a recruiter and having somebody who can work LinkedIn. Tell me a little bit about what this new gem you found that you're helping businesses with.
Well, being a small business owner, it is scary to hire someone, right? Yeah, your first hire. You're not responsible for someone's salary, putting food on the table, their livelihood, that sort of thing. So being able to work with a lot of recruiters like we do, we have a lot of conversations, and I always pick their brains. And from that, we're able to strengthen our hiring skills and sharpen our skill set with the hiring aspect of it. So I recommend one for any small business out there that, you're starting out. You want to make sure that you're not, pull the trigger. Don't be scared to hire, and don't be scared to hire overseas. Right? Mm-hmm. There's great resources like Filipino Jobs.ph. You can find talented people, like master level degree people, for $1,000 a month US. Maybe even like $900 a month US. Now, I mean, I believe that the most talented people are always going to be, well, not always, but the most talented people are US based people.
Yeah, right.
But if you're just starting out and you need some extra help, I think going the virtual assistant route is fantastic. We allow, well, not allow, but like all of our team members, we don't call people employees, we call them team members.
Right.
They're all remote, so we have people in Texas, North Carolina, New Jersey, Florida, so all over the country, because we don't want to limit ourselves to like area talent. We can find someone that has phenomenal skill sets, in a different part of the country. Then why not?
Tell me a little bit about, you have a free analysis that you do. Tell me a little bit about that.
What we found was a lot of people, when they first created a LinkedIn profile, it was 5-10 years ago, right? And LinkedIn has changed so much. You want to capitalize on the new social LinkedIn. So we created a free profile assessment that shows you how to attract. If you're a business owner, you want to attract more business, it shows you how to attract more business. If you are looking to advance your career and you want to, attract the right type of hiring manager, then then using that same psychology, you can go ahead and do so. Utilizing the LinkedIn summary, utilizing the Boolean search and the algorithm to really connect you with the right people and put you in front of the right type of decision makers, the right message.
So where do we'll have the links on our podcast, but where can people go if they're anxious to get on there right now to get that info?
Awesome. You can go to www.tashrezo.com/resources. That's www.tashrezo.com/resources. And there's a LinkedIn profile assessment. There's a couple other resources there, and take advantage of it. We use it all the time, and we know it works. So, anything we can do to help out other small business owners, we're very happy to do so.
That's awesome. The thing we say on here all the time is, live the dream. David, tell me real quick as we kind of wrap up here, what are you doing? How is it like living the dream? I always want to encourage people who are sitting maybe in a cubicle somewhere, wishing they could get out of their job, start their own job, to encourage them that they should take that risk. Tell me what it's like for you.
It's hard.
That's good. I like it. An honest answer.
I'm going to tell you, it's the entrepreneurs are only the crazy people that want to leave a 40 hours a week job to work 100 hours for themselves, right? Or something like that. But I'll tell you, it's just like, I guess like it's like raising a child, right? Your business is at the very beginning, it's very vulnerable. You have to be there all the time. But as you get better, as you educate yourself, as you get more experience, it's going to get stronger and stronger, and eventually it'll take care of you. I mean, you're not going to get a job that's going to pay you $1 million a year, but that happens all the time in business. Your business gets to the point where it's 7 figures, and you can have your dream salary. Right now, I'm available for my family. School meetings. My wife sometimes texts me that she wants to go on a picnic, so I can drop everything and go on a picnic without having my boss yell at me because I am the boss.
Exactly.
So technically, my wife is still the boss. I don't know how she pulls that off. But
the boss told me I need to be at a picnic. I got to go.
Yeah. But it's definitely going to be the hardest thing you ever do in your life, but it's worth it.
Absolutely. We're talking with David Tesh, who's host of Executive Recruiter Network podcast. He's in the greater New York City, New Jersey area. And just a few notes I want to share with everybody that I've taken. And if you're a note taker, maybe you've got some of these too. One of the things he mentioned is networking. He's a big networker. And not just networking to other potential clients, but networking with what some people would probably consider competition. Probably not networking as much as being able to create a collaboration. So he was able to offer more to his clients by saying, hey, I've got somebody who does the same thing I do in another city that I can connect you with. Whenever we can add that value is always important for a small business. The other thing he mentioned was methods. He created a methodology to his business so that it literally took him out of his business in a sense because his employees did the work. They did a great job. They knew what was expected of them. And the long-term thing was it made him flexible in being able to do more things with his time to grow more businesses. Don't be afraid to grow. That was another thing we talked about. And hire more staff. Now, I realize for a lot of people that's different. For my situation at Ondo Media, that was one thing I've chosen not to do is hire staff. But if you want to expand your business, if you want to do more, you need to bring on staff. Don't be afraid of doing that, and don't be afraid to considering looking to do that outsourcing through LinkedIn and possibly even to other places overseas. Now, if you're like me and you're an American and you want to work with Americans, that's great, but it may not be financially possible at first. So don't be afraid to maybe start off using folks from overseas and then working to that eventual goal that you're 100% American. I don't see any issue at that at all. And lastly, David has a free LinkedIn profile assessment that you can do, and that's on his website at tashrizzo.com. That's TASHRIZZO.com, and we'll also have all that information and links below. David, this has been awesome. Thank you so much for being with us today on Marketing, Media, and Cupcakes.
Awesome, John. Thanks for having me. And where can I get some of these cupcakes I'm hearing so much about?
We'd have to figure out how to ship them to New Jersey. I don't know how we would do that.
Yeah, that's something I'm looking at.
More to think about every day. Well, thanks again for joining us. Please subscribe to our podcast. It means so much to us when you do. That's going to help us grow and continue to do more as we try to serve you and your small business, and as we continue to live the dream.
Connect with John and Angel via Facebook and Instagram and let us know your thoughts. Marketing, Media, and Cupcakes is a production of Ondo Media.